Hello, Todd Clemens, Okeechobee Livestock Market, and here is your weekly market report. We had a good run of cattle this week with over 750 head Monday and over 1,000 head on Tuesday. Things kind of got back to normal as far as dairy cattle movement here this week. If you remember last week, it was a little bit of confusion about who could buy lactating dairy cows and what it took to get them from the livestock market to the slaughter facilities, and so I think we kind of got that worked out pretty good. And so this week we kind of were back to normal. We had dairy cattle, we had beef cows, so we're back selling everything that we needed to sell, and cows sold really good. And I don't know if it was because last week people were a little bit nervous about cows, but this week the cows were quoted $4 to $8 higher than they were last week, and we had a good run of cows. I think the total was a little over 1,000 head for the day on Tuesday, and I believe 300 or so of those cattle were slaughter classes. That's cows and bulls. Man, these bulls were selling really good too. I remember seeing a bull bring $1.60, I think, yesterday, which was extremely good. Cows, the better end of the slaughter cows were bringing up in the 120s. We may have had a 125 center here or there, but it was definitely better. And so what was happening? Yeah, last week we talked about the bill that Governor DeSantis was going to sign that would ban lab-grown meat in Florida. And so that did happen. You guys might have seen that on the news. I saw that news broadcast here on the local station, and it was Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis, behind his desk signing the bill, and a bunch of guys standing behind him, and they all had cowboy hats on. And I recognized a few of those guys. I think the Florida Cattlemen's Association was represented there, and maybe some others, but it was really cool to see the governor signing this ban on lab-grown meat in Florida with all the cowboy hats standing behind him. It goes to show you that if we stick together, we can get things done. And we appreciate the effort there that our governor is looking out for Florida, for the beef industry in Florida, and that if these lab-grown meat companies are going to have that product, they're not going to have it here in Florida, they can have it somewhere else. And that was the line that was drawn. Man, that was awesome. So that's legislation. It was a bill, came through the legislative process, and it got done. So I was just thinking about some of the other legislation on a national level that has been brought up, bills that have been brought up to help curb packers' oligarchy, price manipulation. Some of these bills that were structured to try to mandate packers to buy a certain percentage of their cattle on a negotiated cash price. And so far these bills, they get into the ag committees, but they somehow or another, they lose their ground. They start floundering. They don't have a lot of support, and they never go anywhere. But for people that are in the cattle producing business, people that raise cattle for a living, that are the cattle producers in our country, the ranchers in this country, that would help so much to get something like that done, so we could make these packers buy 30 or 50% of their product on a weekly basis on a negotiated cash price. But it won't happen. And there was quoted from a book that we read here that the author of the book said it's political suicide to go against the packers. That's how big they are. So, you know, they have lobbyists, they have a lot of money, they're at the table in most of these cattle industry affiliated organizations that are so-called for the producers, but they're sitting at the table too. If they're not at the table, they're in the sidelines, or that they're in the meetings outside of the meeting. But these packers are so huge and they're so well funded that we just can't get anything done on a national level. So that's, man, I wish we could get something done like that. Even last week, the packers were short bought. That means the cattle coming out of the feedlots, they really had to go out there and actively buy cattle, negotiated cash price, and guess what? It was higher. Every time you have competition, it's going to make these prices higher, and these packers had to get out there aggressively buying cattle, and feeder cattle coming out of the feedlots were higher, a couple bucks. It's that time of year. We're in May. Grilling season is here. We've got Mother's Day, summer, school's out, Father's Day coming up, and retail meat prices have kind of rebounded and are a little bit better. Boxed beef prices were up, I think about every day this week, and the prime cuts are, the boxed beef prices there on the primes are over $3, probably $3.02 or $3. Select is just bumping $3, probably around $2.95 or $6. So even at the high level of retail prices, meat is moving. So that's a good thing. And prices here on these calves were 3 to 5 higher this week too, and we're seeing some really good quality calves. Framar sent in 100 and something head there Tuesday, sent in some Monday too, but those cattle were mostly Charolais calves on Tuesday. a good string of number one good calves, and the those 5-weight calves are right there around $3, and the 4-weights are they're in the 360s to 370 range on the 4-weight steers, and the heifers are still back of the steers about 50 cents on those 4-weight calves. We had some little calves. I think there were probably little roping calves. If somebody had, a couple guys had some orders on some roping calves, and those little things weighing from 180 to 210 were bumping $5 a pound. But that's kind of an unusual little deal on these roping calves. It's a special order, but hey, if you had that calf, you sure picked up your check, and it was real money to you. It might not have been on every one of them, but that's real money. And a lot of times those extremely high prices aren't even quoted because they're kind of off the normal market report. But it did happen. We had a calf that brought $5 or so there Tuesday. Bulls, I think I already told you, but there was a bull that brought $1.60 or 65. I think that bull weighed around 1,800 pounds, so that was good. What else is going on? Oh, this animal ID deal, the EID tags, is coming around the corner, and we haven't heard a whole lot about that. I think because of the bird flu deal that's been going around, everybody's been so kind of nervous about that deal, and that's number one on our watch list is this bird flu situation with these dairy cows that we're not even talking about, or we haven't even heard about. The USDA rule that's going to mandate these EID tags that are taking place of the little metal tags that they used to clamp in the ear, the little bright tags that they used to use. They'll no longer be available. They'll no longer be used for identification. It's going to be the little button EID tag, and it's going to have a little flap tag with it that has that number, the corresponding number on it. And that's going to be on adult cattle. That's 18 months of age or older. And so if these cattle are moving from one state to the other, they're going to have that EID tag, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know yet really how it's going to affect the markets. I don't know how it's going to affect the producers, but I think movement to a market is going to be fine. It's going to be if you buy a cow from the market and you've got to ship that cow out of the state, then you're going to have that EID tag in those cattle. But we'll keep you posted as we find out more about that. But don't forget that's is coming down the pike. And I know you guys probably don't want to hear it any more than I do. but that will be coming up. Along with on the tagging issue, the state tagging rule we've talked about before. The Association of Livestock Markets here in Florida passed a resolution to repeal the state tagging rule. And since this national animal ID thing is coming out, that's going to take precedent over anything else. So I think we can just do away with the state tagging rule, and it won't bother one thing. It'll help release some resources, financial resources, human resources for the state veterinary's office, so the state veterinary's office won't have to be regulating these state tagging rules and going out and see if people are doing this or doing that. So I think that'll free up some money and some manpower, so they can use in other areas that may be a little bit more important. I think that about covers it. But we had a good run of cattle this week, as I said, and I think that next week we'll probably have probably as many or hopefully more than we had this week. But dairy cows are moving, beef cows are moving, calves are bringing good prices. So our high prices this week are some familiar names. John Vosell from Fellsmere. John, you topped the calf market with a little 165-pound steer calf that brought $5 a pound. That's one of those little roping order calves that I was telling you about earlier. That calf was bought by DNS Cattle. And on the slaughter cow side, P.W. Bishop, right here in Okeechobee, Perry and Hamilton and the crew there, topped the slaughter cow price with a 1,480-pound cow that brought $1.42. And that cow was bought by Cargill. That's a good job, you guys, and a good price on a good cow. Thank you for watching these reports. If you like them, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.